So I grew up believing that you worked really hard during the day and that fun and happiness came at the end of the day when your work was all done. I held on to this belief so tightly that I missed opportunities to really connect with people. In fact, the first 15 years of my professional life, I fought the idea of making friends with my colleagues. I thought somehow that happiness and fun in the workplace was looked at as rather silly, as if I were crossing the line and it was a big no-no. So I have to tell you something about myself, that I like people. I really like people. I get energized when I'm around others, and I get completely geeked out when I work with groups of people. So you can understand my dilemma. When I started actually making friends with my colleagues and even some of my clients. And I thought, why am I not feeling happy about this? And instead, I felt guilty. I felt like somehow I shouldn't be happy, gasp, between the hours of 8 and 5 p.m. I thought somehow that I was ruining my ability to work my way up into the company and that I wouldn't be seen as a hard-working, serious employee. Now, I can't pinpoint the exact moment that things started to change for me, but I can tell you this, that my life opened up beautifully when I started letting happiness and fun into my 8 to 5 world. When I was still eluding happiness in my 8 to 5 world, I happened to join the Peace Corps. My husband and I, we were stationed and placed in Jordan in the Middle East. So you can imagine the challenge I had being placed in a culture, in a country that thrived on getting to know someone personally before they did business with them. Well, I was pretty serious with all the people I worked with in Jordan, to the extent that I exhausted myself and I finally said, enough, I give up. I needed to relax a little bit and enjoy myself. And on one such occasion, I was invited to have dinner with my colleague, Abdullah. Well, in my relaxation of the evening, I completely forgot about some of the culture and the traditions that are normally upheld in this country. So I was eating a little bit and talking a whole lot and talking some more and talking yet more and eating a little bit till my husband finally looked over at me and he said, "Are you done with your meal?" At which point I remembered the tradition and culture that I had forgotten about. Well, the host continues to eat his meal until his guests are done. And when I looked over at Abdullah, my colleague, I saw the grimace on his face and he looked really uncomfortable. So I liken the fact that as much as I was talking that evening, he probably ate what was equivalent to 3 or 4 meals that night. Well, despite having Abdullah feel so uncomfortable that evening, I look back on that night fondly because it was one of the first evenings that I was really happy, that I let go and was truly happy with one of my colleagues. So in the past 10 years, I've kept happiness in the forefront of both my work life and my personal life, and it hasn't always been easy. About 12 years ago, when I attended a communication conference in Chicago, I was at a breakout session, and during this breakout session, the instructor had our group do a laugh off. So we were all supposed to laugh spontaneously. So she started, ha 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 ha. And so she started laughing on cue, and I thought that was really impressive, because I was struggling to just laugh spontaneously without first having something to laugh at. When I finally got a few half-hearted chuckles out, I actually thought, wow, this feels really good. It feels really good to laugh like this. Well, laughter, come to find out, creates a feel-good hormone that courses through your body called endorphins. But that's not the only thing laughter does. It also stimulates your organs, which is a good thing, and it's good for your health. It increases your health, and it's contagious. So when you laugh, and those around you laugh, they likely get the same benefits of laughter. So I'm guessing I am not the only person here today that has actually struggled incorporating fun and happiness into their workday. In 2010, there was a study that was done, and they found that only 45% of people in the workplace stated they were happy. So the good news is that has increased, but just a smidgen. In 2015, that percentage increased only 0.4%. So how do we increase our happiness in the workplace? The first step is to increase happiness in all areas and aspects of our life. To make it a habit, to make it an integral part of who we are each and every day. As I said before, I've had to make happiness a conscientious effort in both my workday and in my personal life. And I've done this by creating happiness intentions. Now, what I mean by happiness intentions, these are goals. So I set myself up for success by doing things that I know will make me happy. Well, I had such an opportunity this past summer when I was invited to go on a road trip with a girlfriend. And we drove from California to Colorado. And we had 2 ground rules. The first ground rule was we were not allowed to drive on any highways, no interstate highways, only scenic byways and 2-lane highways, but no highways. And our second ground rule, well, that didn't come about until after I went to a bingo game in Santa Barbara, and I won 5 Barbie dolls. So we thought, oh my gosh, we've got to use these Barbies. We've got to do something fun with these Barbies. Well, our second ground rule ended up being, hey, let's use these Barbies and meet and connect with as many people as we possibly can on our road trip. So we did just that. Now, at first, we weren't quite sure how we were going to go about doing that until we saw these 4 very cool motorcycle dudes driving down the highway. And then it dawned on us, oh my gosh, we need to get our 5 Barbies, which we lovingly called the girls, we need to get a picture of the girls with these motorcyclists. So we did just that. And here is a picture of the very cool motorcycle dudes and our Barbies. And here's a close-up. These guys not only obliged to getting their pictures taken with the girls, but as you can see, in the previous picture, they lined their bikes up so they could get just the right pose in. So we knew from that point forward that we had to take pictures of the girls in every location we visited, and anyone we could, we would get pictures of the girls with the people. So, for your enjoyment today, I have a few pictures to share with you from my trip this past summer. So this next picture, this is a picture of Yi and Jerry. Now they told me a lovely story about how their Hmong families immigrated to the United States. And they were pretty excited to get their picture taken with the girls. This next picture, these are 5 guys from Safe Flight Auto Glass. Now, they quickly and efficiently fixed our broken window after all of our luggage, unfortunately, was stolen from our car. But when they learned of the Barbies, the girls, they said, hey, we want a picture taken with them. So they did. And this is the girls. They were supping, stand-up paddleboarding on Lake Tahoe with friends. And here's the girls with Tracy and her pet turtle, Happy. Now, Tracy ran a Chinese restaurant in a very tiny town in Utah. And when we asked her, we said, Tracy, can we get a picture of you with the girls? And she couldn't understand anything we said. She spoke almost no English. So she had to call her son to translate. So once she finally learned what exactly we wanted of her, she said, oh, sure, she'd be happy to do it. And then she was completely tickled when I sent her a picture of her and the girls and her pet turtle Happy. This last picture I'm going to show you, this is of a trucker and his family that were driving across the United States. And his 10-year-old boy thought it was pretty cool to get a picture with the girls. So during that time of my road trip between California and Colorado, I realized when I was connecting with these people, I was really happy. I was living in the present moment. And I realized how important it was to create these happiness intentions each and every day of my life. Well, over the years, as I said, I've been working on getting these happiness intentions and happiness integrated into every part of my life, whether it's at work or at home. So I put 5 tips together that I want to share with you all today. And the first tip is to live bigger, bolder, and braver. Now, sometimes we find ourselves in uncharted waters, and it can feel really difficult. Many of us probably feel this way, where we have to make a certain amount of money, we have to own a certain amount of stuff, we need a certain degree from a certain college in order to be happy. But in all actuality, we actually thrive and yearn to simply to grow and to learn. And in our joy to grow, what if we slowed down and we tried those roads that were less familiar? What would it look like if we made decisions from that trust part of ourselves? And how would it feel if that unfamiliar road took us to a place of magical discovery? So I recommend live bigger, bolder, and braver. Tip number 2, eat a meal with your Uber driver. You heard me right. Eat a meal with your Uber driver. Relax into the experience of life. So I feel like life should be enjoyed by the experience, not by the destination, not by the getting yourself to the happily ever after place, by that destination on the map. And if we were to push that aside and just relax into the experience of life, I think we'd actually enjoy it a bit more. Life is busy. We're always in motion. It's always changing. Enjoy the experience. This last summer, I flew into LA for work, and when I arrived, I didn't have a rental car, so I called an Uber driver. Now, for those of you new to the Uber world, an Uber driver is like a taxi driver. So you have an app on your phone, and you plug in your destination of where you want to go, and you get to see a picture of the Uber driver and of the Uber car. So when my Uber driver arrived at my hotel, I asked if I could sit in the front seat with him, which I often do so I can better connect with the person. And I did that. He said, sure, fine. So I sat there. We had a lovely conversation on our way to the restaurant, so much so that we decided, hey, why don't we share a meal together, which we did. So if you have an opportunity, eat a meal with your Uber driver. Tip number 3, tell yourself you're awesome at least once every hour of every day. We talk to ourselves about 50,000 times throughout the day. And out of talking to ourselves, 80% of that is negative talk. We talk about our emotions. We talk about all the things that we haven't gotten done yet, instead of really looking at the accomplishments that we've gotten done. I say take pride in the accomplishments that we have done and all the gifts that we give out to those other individuals. So tell yourself you're awesome at least once every hour of every day. Tip number 4, blur the lines between work and play. Do something where you get excited about the day. Put yourself in a place of putting something on the calendar ahead of time. Have some interesting quests set up for yourself. I like to schedule something ahead of time each and every day. And on my busiest days, I like to schedule a 30-minute coffee break with someone. And it forces me then to slow down, and then I also get to have coffee with someone really cool. So, whatever that looks like for you, blur the lines between work and play. 5th tip, surround yourself with happy people, especially when you're under stress. Researcher and psychologist John Cacioppo says that those individuals who have a limiting support system actually have the same life expectancy as those who smoke, who have high blood pressure, are obese, and are lacking in physical exercise. We do much better when we're facing obstacles and barriers when we have a pool of resources in which to draw from. Now, I was really surprised to learn that Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, that he wasn't the reclusive inventor that I thought he was. I always pictured him up in like a crazy lab at the top of an old Victorian house with crazy hair, working crazy hours, and being really isolated. And on the contrary, Thomas Edison actually, he enjoyed working and thriving with groups of people. In fact, when he invented the light bulb, he had 30 assistants with him. The most successful people are those that reach out to their support systems instead of turning inward into isolation during tough times. So, volunteer, reach out to your community, get involved, join a club, surround yourself with happy people. Now, sometimes the unexpected journey takes us on a delightful turn, which is different than the original journey that we might have planned out. I recommend that you slow down, you live bigger, bolder, braver, eat a meal with your Uber driver, tell yourself you're awesome at least once every hour of every day, blur the lines between work and play, surround yourself with happy people, and if you happen to go to a bingo game and win 5 Barbie dolls, which I have brought up front, don't forget to bring them on your next road trip. Thank you.